Many years ago, my nephew, he must have been, I don't know, a toddler, 3, maybe 4 years old. I'm not quite sure the exact age. And my family and I were with him to visit his household, his family. And we got to the home, and of course, the ride was always a lot of commotion, noise. Hey, we're here, and everybody's happy, hugs and kisses and saying hi. And I was right behind my mother. She's greeting my sister, waiting, to give my sister a kiss and hug. And I just have to glance, and there I see this little 3 or 4-year-old nephew. I'm just watching him and see his reaction. He's got a little terrorized, a little fearful, a little frightened, and just sort of face like. And then he turned and he ran off and hid into the corner there in the living room. And he squatted down, facing the wall, covering his eyes, just kneeling there, facing the wall. I sort of got a chuckle, sort of amused by his antics. I'm thinking to myself, does he think we can't see him? Because if he's trying to hide, he's not doing a very good job of it. Because he wasn't like behind the sofa, behind the couch, or behind the TV. He's just simply right there in the front, in the corner, hiding, closing his eyes, covering them. And you well know that that age, just 3 or 4, they sort of think if they can't see you, you can't see them, right? That's how that game peekaboo is so much fun, because they think you're God and whatever. That's how they sort of, in some ways, be blinded. If I don't see you, then you're not there. Some years ago, I came across this article in the New York Times magazine. It was writing about these community of women, about 100 or so, who sailed from Cambodia to Long Beach, California. And what it said about them that's unusual about these women, that they were all blind. All 100 of them blind. What was even more, though, sort of fascinating or unique was there was nothing wrong with their eyes. Everything they needed to see, the lens and the nerves, were all perfect. Nothing whatsoever wrong. I mean, they had the ability to see, but what happened was, they said they were from Cambodia, and they suffered the Pol Pot regime. The killing fields way back, the killing, and they witnessed, they saw these atrocities, the brutality. So much so what they saw, they witnessed that their brains could not take it anymore. And so they became blind. So they would not see. So they would not notice. That's what blindness is in this well. And somewhere along that continuum, we're in that range as well. All of us are sometimes are blind, right? Don't we close our eyes to things that we don't want to see? Why, just Friday I was in the hospital. This poor woman had a terrible, terrible wound in her arm. It was all infected with pus. And she shows me the arm, and she said, "Oh, I don't want to see it. I don't want to look. If I don't see it, it's not there." If you walk down the street or in a hallway and somebody has some physical disability, we feel awkward, and so we look the other way. We avoid making eye contact because it's uncomfortable. So as if I don't see it, I don't have to deal with it, and it's really not there. That's how we are. We're blinded. And so this fascinating gospel, it's quite a long gospel, as you'll well know, and it's much, much more than simply Jesus healing a blind man. If that's all it was, in the 2 or 3 verses, heal the blind man, he goes his way, and story over. Because the funny thing about this gospel, the one who's blind is not the one who didn't have sight, it's the ones with sight. And how they try to stick in the corner, not look, or actually be blind and not accept. He stubbornly refused to accept Jesus. So they come up with all these alibis and excuses, right? He wasn't born blind. For God's sakes, he's been blind for years. It's a little village. There's more people here probably than in that village. They all know who he was. Well, we see now that he wasn't born blind. Or this is even better. It just looks like him. Sure. Any excuse, because they will not accept it. They will not open their eyes. They will not accept their eyes to Jesus. You can't be who you say you are because you're cured of the Sabbath. You can't be God. And this big wrestling. So they're the ones who are blind. They're the ones who sin. And interesting how Jesus heals this blind man. He takes the clay from the earth, right? Well, what does that mean? He goes back to Genesis. How did God create man? He takes the clay of the earth, right, the dirt, and he forms man. And that's what that symbolizes. He's being born again. And he tells him, go wash in the pool. That washing is baptism. And he sees. He's born again. And this man who's blind, he sees Jesus. And then they ask him, are you the blind man? He says, I am. That's a powerful two words, I am. Because when Moses, in the book of Exodus, on the mountain says, who are you? What should I tell the people? What is your name? What does God tell him? Tell Moses, I am who am. And now this blind man says, I am. Not only that, in this Gospel of John, Jesus says 7 times, we call the I am sayings. I am the good shepherd, I am the bread of life, I am the gate, I am the light of the world. And so this guy says the same things as Jesus. I am. Because all of us who are born again, all of us baptized, we belong to Christ. We are. I am a child of God. And so yet we live in our darkness, we choose blindness. Like this Pharisee, we choose not to see. We're speaking during Lent really to work on our prayer life. And when we pray, we give you to God, it opens our eyes that we may see. And in many ways, the way that we refuse to see, that we are blinded. I have quite a few brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, and I talk to my mom every day on the phone. I guess you could call it gossip, maybe. I don't know what's gossip, talking about my brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews. But there's always something going on in someone's family, right? There's always someone doing something. Oh, yeah, what are they up to? Sort of unhealthy habits, lifestyles. It happens to everybody, right? And so my mother tells me about some, better think the situation's unspoken about, what's big than that. And she tells about something going on in someone's family. I said, well, did you tell her about it? Did you talk to her? Don't tell me. Did you talk to them? She said, I did. I brought it up to them. So well, what did she say? I can't go there. I don't want to talk about it. Huh? You know that phrase? I can't go there. I don't want to talk about it. Which means I want to be blind. I don't want to face it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. That's blindness. And that's how we live in darkness. I can't go there. I don't want to talk about it. We do the same thing. You may not use the same words, but we do the same thing in our own life. I know I have high cholesterol. It's in my family, and I had it checked some years ago. I don't like getting my blood test. Because I got the blood test, it's going to say I have high cholesterol. And then I can't eat ice cream, and then I got to go on medication. So I decided if I don't go for my blood test, I won't look at it. I won't see it. And I can have my ice cream, and I don't have to go on medication. Because if I don't see it, it's not there. Crazy, isn't it? You do the same thing in your way, whatever. We all do it. I don't want to look. I'd rather be blind. So you're not looking, it's not, I know. Maybe my prayer, God is, hey, wake up, open your eyes. Last week we had our Antioch retreat. At 11 o'clock Mass, we had 120 teens filling up all these pews right here. One of our ladies in the parish was at 11 o'clock Mass. And she told me how impressed she was. She said she got goosebumps seeing all those young people here in church. She, like many, mentioned her own family and how they don't go to church. And so to see them, wow, it really made her feel good. And she was also smart enough and wise enough to say, I realize maybe they don't go to church enough. I know that. They're not perfect. They don't have, quote, 20/20 vision. At least their eyes are opening. At least their eyes are opening. You know what changed my life, my whole life direction? When I went on retreat. I was 12 years old. It really changed my life. I didn't become a priest when I was on 12. I wanted to retreat to get away from my family, get away from my big sister. It was open. I said, that sounds like fun. Go away. I had no interest in that sort of thing. But he showed this little film and my eyes were open in a way. Even at that young age, God touched the blessing and put that plant in that seed. God opened my eyes. And retreats aren't just for teenagers, it's for all of us. There's more for us to see, more for us that God wants to speak to us. And you're so fortunate you have the opportunity next week, women, to go on a retreat. To ask God to open your eyes even wider to see things that He wants to tell you. But both of us, like the Pharisees, I don't want to see, I don't want to go. But, so I invite you, women, this upcoming weekend, and then the following weekend, why don't you give God a chance? Maybe He wants to open your eyes to touch and to bless you and pour down His grace upon you. You know that way we're blinding things in our society. You know, homelessness is a big problem, especially here in Volusia County. I don't know what the exact number is, but they say anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000 are homeless each night. And you don't need beds, emergency beds we have for that number, whatever number may be. 25 beds for whatever, a couple of thousand. So we really not bother too much with the land because we have two sort of ways of dealing with it. Either they get arrested, or many of them simply live in the woods, the little communities in the woods. And that works out just fine. Because if they're in the woods, and I don't see them, and we don't see them, it's not a problem. It's no longer a problem. Because I don't have to see them. That's the problem. And so a week from Monday, April 7th, at 6:30 at the Boone Cookman Performing Arts, churches are gathered to speak to a representative and say, hey, we got to do better than that. We got to do better. We can't close our eyes and pretend it doesn't exist. Because if I wasn't opened by Christ tonight, I can still see that they're my brothers and my sisters. They're still part of me. And I can't pretend that they're not here, even though they're hidden in the woods. There was this flight from San Francisco to Los Angeles. One of the passengers tells his true story. He said the passengers on the plane were annoyed and aggravated because they were 45 minutes delayed just sitting on the runway. Anyway, the plane finally took off, and then they announced they had to make an unexpected stop in Sacramento. Oh, noise. People again got annoyed. So the lieutenant said, we'll be here for another 45 minutes. So if you want, you can get off the plane, but please reboard in 30 minutes. And everybody got off the plane and said, except this one gentleman who was blind. He must have flown before because there was his guide dog lying perfectly quiet, perfectly still, lying in his seat in front of him. He said, no, he flew before, but he'd probably flown this flight quite often. Because when the pilot came out, he addressed him by name. He said, Keith, we're in Sacramento. We got a little bit less than an hour delay. If you want, this may be a good time for you to get off the plane and stretch your legs. He said, Bob, no, that's okay. I'm fine. I think I'll stay right here. But my dog may want to get out and stretch his legs. So I want you to picture the scene. Out comes the runway. There are people all meandering around by the gate. And here comes the pilot with the seeing eye dog. And not only that, he was wearing sunglasses. But people looked. They ran and scattered. They didn't want to simply change planes. They wanted to change airlines. Oh my goodness, they took off. They ran off. They weren't getting on that plane. And you know, sometimes we want to run off and run away. Take off, and I don't want to see, I don't want to look at it, I don't want to face it. And so as I said, during these weeks of Lent, we're really focusing on prayer. So I want to invite you this week when you sit in your prayer chair, your prayer spot. And the question I ask you to bring before God is this: Lord, what is it that you want me to see that I'm ignoring, that I'm blind? What is it that I don't want to face? What is it that I can't go there? Maybe it's a behavior of mine. A lifestyle that I've chosen that I don't want to face because I know it's wrong and I don't want to change it. Maybe it's my health, family. Or maybe things around me in my community and I pretend it doesn't exist. So Lord, what is it that you want me to see? What is it that I need to open my eyes to? You know, thank God my nephew, no one hides in the corner. He's outgoing, friendly, great among people. He grew up. Many of us have grown, but we're still hiding in the corner, closing our eyes, because we don't want to see. Ask God, Lord, what is it that you want me to face? What is it that I can't close my eyes to anymore?